Project MKUltra was one of the most sinister and bizarre programs ever conceived by the CIA. A covert operation that delved into the darkest corners of human psychology and manipulation. Shrouded in secrecy and still subject to conspiracy theories today, MKUltra has left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness. The program began in the early 1950s with the goal of finding ways to control human minds, a pursuit that seemed straight out of a science fiction novel. Supposedly in response to fears that the Soviet Union and China had mastered mind control techniques, the CIA embarked on this clandestine journey. According to declassified documents, the CIA conducted experiments on unwitting American and Canadian citizens, often without their consent or knowledge, exposing them to high doses of LSD, electroshock therapy, and extreme forms of sensory deprivation. The agency sought to break and rebuild the human psyche. Historian Alfred W. McCoy has described MKUltra as the most sustained search in history for techniques of mind control, a relentless quest that spanned decades. He believes its reach extended far beyond what is known, suggesting that the true extent of the program's activities may never be fully uncovered. Many of the subjects were permanently damaged, with some left in vegetative states or driven to suicide, their lives irrevocably altered by the experiments. One of the most mysterious aspects is how much of MKUltra remains hidden, locked away in classified files and secret archives. In 1973, then CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of all files related to the program, a move that erased much of the evidence of its scale and impact. This act of destruction has left historians and researchers with only fragments of information, making it difficult to piece together the full story. The few documents that survived paint a chilling picture of the agency's willingness to experiment with human lives, often with little regard for the consequences. Some theorists, including author John Ronson, suggest that MKUltra's techniques may have been used to create Manchurian candidates, individuals brainwashed to carry out political assassinations without knowledge of their actions. These theories, while controversial, highlight the potential for such mind control techniques to be used for nefarious purposes, raising questions about the ethical boundaries of intelligence operations. Additionally, conspiracy circles allege that well-known figures like the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, may have been influenced or driven by early participation in MKUltra, suggesting a link between the program and later acts of violence. Though the CIA officially shut down MKUltra in the early 1970s, skeptics wonder if such experiments really ended, or if they simply went deeper underground. Given the success and secrecy of covert operations throughout the Cold War, it's plausible to some that modern mind control efforts continue under a different name, hidden from public scrutiny. Investigative journalists like Seymour Hersh have noted that such operations could still be occurring today, albeit under stricter secrecy, with new technologies and methods. Whether MKUltra was a dark chapter or just the beginning of deeper governmental control schemes remains one of the 20th century's enduring mysteries, a puzzle that continues to intrigue and disturb those who seek the truth. The heart attack gun, revealed in a 1975 U.S. Senate hearing, sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, yet it was terrifyingly real. This weapon, shrouded in secrecy and developed during the height of the Cold War, was a testament to the lengths to which intelligence agencies would go to maintain an edge over their adversaries. This weapon, developed by the CIA, could shoot a small dart that delivered a deadly toxin capable of inducing a heart attack without leaving any trace in the victim's body. The dart, no larger than a pinhead, was designed to be virtually undetectable. Once it penetrated the skin, the poison would dissolve quickly, making it nearly impossible for forensic experts to identify the cause of death as anything other than natural. The dart was so small that it could penetrate the skin unnoticed, and the poison would dissolve, leaving no forensic evidence of foul play. This made it an ideal tool for covert assassinations, allowing the perpetrator to eliminate targets without raising suspicion. The implications of such a weapon were chilling, as it could be used to silence dissent or eliminate political rivals with ease. Senator Frank Church, who chaired the hearing, showed deep concern over the CIA's capabilities, calling this one of the most insidious weapons ever created for assassination. His alarm was not just about the weapon itself, but what it represented: a willingness to engage in morally and ethically questionable actions in the name of national security. Church's findings raised ethical questions about how far the CIA would go in its covert operations during the Cold War. The revelation of the heart attack gun was a stark reminder of the shadowy world of espionage, where the lines between right and wrong were often blurred. It prompted a broader discussion about the oversight and accountability of intelligence agencies. Historians such as Timothy Weiner, author of Legacy of Ashes, argue that the heart attack gun was emblematic of the CIA's broader willingness to engage in morally dubious actions to maintain global supremacy. Weiner's work highlights numerous instances where the agency's actions were driven by a perceived need to stay ahead of geopolitical rivals, often at the expense of ethical considerations. Its existence fueled speculation that it may have been used in unexplained deaths or political assassinations throughout the 1960s and 1970s. The mere possibility that such a weapon could be deployed without leaving a trace led to a wave of paranoia and distrust, particularly among those who were critical of the government or its policies. For instance, some conspiracy theorists believe it may have been involved in the sudden heart attack deaths of inconvenient figures or whistleblowers. These theories, while often lacking concrete evidence, reflect a deep-seated fear of unchecked governmental power and the potential for abuse. No conclusive evidence ties it to specific deaths, but the mere possibility continues to inspire speculation in alternative history communities. These communities thrive on the idea that there are hidden truths behind historical events, and the heart attack gun fits neatly into their narratives of secret plots and covert operations. The weapon's reveal has also led to rampant speculation that modern governments possess even more sophisticated tools for covert killing. Advances in technology have only fueled these speculations, with some believing that today's intelligence agencies have access to even more advanced and undetectable means of assassination. Some theorists posit that biological agents or nanotechnology may be today's answer to the heart attack gun, tools which could be even harder to trace. The idea that a microscopic device or a genetically engineered pathogen could be used to eliminate targets is both fascinating and terrifying, raising new ethical and moral questions about the future of warfare and espionage. Others wonder if the heart attack gun was a test run for more advanced assassinations carried out today. The concept of a weapon that leaves no trace is a powerful one, and it's not hard to imagine that intelligence agencies would continue to pursue such technology in their ongoing quest for dominance. Whether or not such technology remains in use, its brief moment in the spotlight reminds us of the murky depths of secret government programs. The heart attack gun serves as a stark reminder of the lengths to which those in power will go to achieve their objectives, often operating in the shadows and beyond the reach of public scrutiny. It challenges us to consider the ethical implications of such actions and the importance of transparency and accountability in government. Operation Northwoods is one of the most controversial revelations in the history of U.S. intelligence, involving a proposed false flag operation to incite war with Cuba. In 1962, the CIA and the Joint Chiefs of Staff proposed a series of staged attacks on American soil, including the hijacking of planes and bombings, to make it appear as though Cuba was responsible. The plan was meant to justify a U.S. invasion of Cuba and the removal of Fidel Castro from power. President Kennedy ultimately rejected the plan, but the fact that it was seriously proposed has sparked years of conspiracy theories about similar false flag events throughout history. Journalist James Bamford, in his book Body of Secrets, described Operation Northwoods as a chilling example of how far military and intelligence leaders were willing to go to manipulate public perception and start wars. Many believe that had Northwoods been carried out, it would have fundamentally altered the course of history, potentially leading to World War III. The documents revealing Northwoods weren't declassified until the 1990s, sparking new waves of interest and distrust in government transparency. Some conspiracy theorists have gone so far as to claim that the principles of Northwoods were later used in incidents like the Gulf of Tonkin, which led to the Vietnam War. The idea of governments staging attacks on their own citizens to manipulate the populace is a disturbing concept that continues to fuel suspicion of world powers. Figures like former CIA officer John Stockwell have noted that similar plans, while not necessarily identical, may have influenced later covert actions in Latin America and beyond. To this day, Operation Northwood serves as a reminder of the lengths intelligence agencies may go to pursue their strategic interests. It also leaves lingering questions. How many other Northwood-style plans have been quietly proposed or enacted, unbeknownst to the public? Acoustic Kitty. In one of the most bizarre espionage attempts in CIA history, Project Acoustic Kitty involved surgically implanting listening devices inside cats in the 1960s. The idea was to train these cats to spy on Soviet diplomats and embassies by recording their conversations. The program was incredibly costly, reportedly amounting to millions of dollars, and was a complete failure. The first spy cat was hit by a car almost immediately after being released on its first mission. CIA officials realized that trying to control an animal as independent as a cat was futile, and the project was quickly abandoned. The existence of Project Acoustic Kitty wasn't revealed until declassified documents came to light in the 2000s, but it remains one of the most absurd and fascinating episodes in the history of covert intelligence. Historian Jeffrey Richelson has called it an example of the CIA's willingness to explore even the most outlandish ideas to gain an advantage during the Cold War. Despite the program's failure, some conspiracy theorists believe the CIA may have continued to explore animal-based espionage, speculating that more successful programs involving birds, insects, or even dolphins could have taken place. Though Project Acoustic Kitty is often laughed off today, it highlights the surreal lengths to which the intelligence community was willing to go to infiltrate the enemy. The case has inspired countless conspiracy theories about modern-day surveillance tactics, with some even claiming that domestic pets could still be used as spies today. While this is highly improbable, the absurdity of Acoustic Kitty demonstrates the unpredictable and sometimes comical nature of Cold War espionage. The mysterious death of Frank Olson is one of the darkest and most controversial episodes in CIA history. It has sparked numerous debates, investigations, and theories over the years, each adding layers of complexity to an already perplexing case. Olson, a biochemist working on biological warfare projects, allegedly fell to his death from a New York City hotel window in 1953, after being unknowingly dosed with LSD as part of the MK-Ultra program. This covert operation aimed to explore mind control techniques, often without the consent of its subjects, leading to numerous ethical and legal questions. Initially ruled a suicide, new evidence uncovered decades later has led many to suspect foul play. The initial investigation was cursory at best, leaving many stones unturned and questions unanswered. It wasn't until the 1970s, when the MK-Ultra program was publicly exposed, that Olson's case was re-examined with a more critical eye. Olson's family has long believed that he was murdered by the CIA because he became disillusioned with his work and may have been planning to reveal sensitive information about the U.S. biological warfare program. His growing discomfort with the ethical implications of his research made him a potential liability in the eyes of the agency. Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh, who has covered the Olson case extensively, claims that there's overwhelming evidence that Olson was pushed from the window by CIA agents. Hirsch's investigations have brought to light numerous inconsistencies in the official narrative, suggesting a cover-up at the highest levels of government. Some conspiracy theorists go further, suggesting that Olson's death may have been part of a broader effort to silence dissent within the agency. They argue that Olson was not the only one who met a suspicious end, pointing to a pattern of mysterious deaths among those who questioned the CIA's methods. The case took another strange turn in the 1990s when Olson's body was exhumed, and forensic evidence suggested that he may have been struck on the head before falling. This new evidence cast further doubt on the suicide theory, indicating that Olson might have been incapacitated before being thrown out of the window. Despite a settlement with the Olson family, the true circumstances of his death remain shrouded in mystery. The settlement included a formal apology from the government, but it did little to quell the family's quest for the full truth. Olson's case has become a symbol of the dangers of unchecked government power and secrecy. It highlights the potential for abuse when agencies operate without sufficient oversight, raising important questions about accountability and transparency. It has also fueled conspiracy theories about other suspicious deaths connected to government projects, with some even drawing parallels to modern whistleblower cases. The parallels between Olson's case and those of contemporary whistleblowers underscore the ongoing struggle for truth and justice in the face of powerful institutions. The Olson family continues to push for full transparency about his death, but the CIA remains tight-lipped, adding to the intrigue. Their persistent efforts have kept the case in the public eye, ensuring that the questions surrounding Olson's death are not forgotten. Whether Frank Olson's death was a tragic accident or a calculated murder, it serves as a chilling reminder of the darker side of intelligence operations. The case exemplifies the potential human cost of secretive government programs and the lengths to which agencies might go to protect their interests. Each of these stories captures the sense of mystery, power, and controversy that has surrounded the CIA throughout its history, raising questions about the ethical limits of intelligence work and the far-reaching consequences of secret operations. The legacy of Frank Olson's death continues to provoke debate and reflection on the balance between national security and individual rights.